Okay. Woohoo! Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Saturn Return Diaries podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, hello, you can see us. If you're listening right now, I'm super excited. This is going to be so fun. And just I'll kind of like go into more of why I wanted to have this episode done after, but if you've already seen the title and you've already like seen me tag stuff on Instagram, then you'll probably already know what I'm talking about here. But welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the podcast. And we're excited to have you here. So I'm super excited to do this episode, first of all, because Jeanette is like my best friend and we've been friends for a really long time. I don't even know how many years now, but a long time.
15.
How many?
15.
Oh, 15. Okay. Time doesn't exist in my world.
I know.
So 15 years, which is so wild. But Jeanette and I are both going through our Saturn return, and I just think that it would be really beneficial to have somebody else come on the podcast who has their experience of what they're currently going through and like their questions and all the stuff. So this conversation is going to be super flowy. We're going to see what's been happening in Jeanette's life with her Saturn return. And then we'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, so Jeanette, do you want to like tell us a little bit about who you are as a person? It doesn't have to be your work, but it can just be like who you are.
Who am I? I prefer to say, what am I? Yeah. So I'll go in with all the terminology that you'll appreciate.
Thank you.
We'll start off with my human design. I am a projector, which I know you probably know what that is, but it's the type of person that needs to be invited to things. Not really one to, put it all out there, so to speak. So
do you feel comfortable right now?
I mean, I'm a little bit of I feel like I'm gonna have a major vulnerability hangover after this because I'm very private. So, but we're here and it's gonna be fine. So don't worry. My numerology number is a 1.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's sweet.
Yeah. I'm a 1. So natural born leader. What else can I go with? I can tell you my attachment style. I can tell you my love languages. What do you want to know?
Okay.
Like, I can get into all of that stuff. We don't have to do that because it's the astrology podcast, so we won't go there. But
I think it's super important though, because of knowing you and like knowing where all the stuff that you've kind of already been working through during your Saturn return. I think that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, hit us with your attachment style, hit us with your love language, and then do your sun, moon, rising.
Okay. This is weird because you know everything about me, but we're gonna act like you don't know. Okay. Attachment style, anxious. A little bit of anxious, avoidant, mostly anxious attachment style. If you anyone listening watch Bachelorette, prime example of an anxious attachment style would have been Greg last night. Freaking out, fleeing, needs weren't met, I'm gone, see you never.
Yeah.
So that's relatable for sure. Love language, number 1 and 2 are kind of like 50-50. Quality time and physical touch. Those are my top ones. Bottom of the barrel, lowest is words of affirmation. Means nothing to me. You tell me something, I don't give a shit. Like, that doesn't mean anything. I need to see it, feel it, hear it. If I hear it, I don't care. So that's, yeah.
This is where we're very different.
Yeah, we're very different. Yeah, I know for like females, typically that's like their number 1, but I'm like, no, not at all. Definitely not. So yeah, definitely some self-awareness going on these days for sure.
Yeah. But that leads actually into your astrology really well.
So my big 3, as they like to say on TikTok, sun sign is Scorpio. Moon sign is Aquarius, and rising sign is Leo. Yeah. So I know we are opposites. So you are Aquarius moon, Scorpio. Oh no, yeah, no, Aquarius sun, Scorpio moon. So we are the opposite.
Yeah. It's very different. It's so interesting because obviously, like, I've been, diving into this for a while now, and Jeanette's kind of been that person who I'm like, okay, I need to like practice here. Like, what does this mean? Like pulling up charts. And it is so interesting that we're like literally opposites, like sun and moon are opposite. And with your rising sign in Leo, I was looking at your chart before, but because it's Leo season, this is so fitting for the fact that we're doing this because Leo's about being seen and coming out of hiding. Yeah. And you're like, now going to be on a podcast.
Oh, fuck. Here we go.
Yeah. And on YouTube. So, yeah. I'm really pushing you out of your nest, of your comfort.
Yeah, you are. The trolls, they better stay away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeanette's already said that she's private. So, you can slide into her DMs, but she has to accept
you can slide in if you want to, but will I accept it? I don't know. We'll see.
Whereas, like with me, it's quite a difference.
Like, come on in.
There's a lot of DMs there. That anyway. All right, so let's kind of like go into this a little bit more, and I want to know. Well, first of all, I'll explain. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the astrology, and then we're going to get your take on what's been going on. Okay. So obviously Jeanette's born in October, and I'm born
in November.
Oh my gosh.
My birthday?
What day or time is it? I don't know. Born in November 15th. I do know.
I know.
And I'm born in February. So we're both born in 1991. And whenever you have people who are born within the same year, there is a lot of similar transits and planets and similar signs that are more generationally speaking. So I'll do another podcast or YouTube video about that on my own channel, but it's really interesting when that happens because it kind of brings together these clusters of people who are here to create or do similar things or support one another through the process. And so Jeanette and I are both going through our Saturn returns, which means we both have Saturn in Aquarius. Now, this is where everyone is different because someone will have their Aquarius or their Saturn in the 6th house. Someone will have their Saturn in the 8th house. And that kind of gives the flavor of what the Saturn return might be about or lessons that will come through. And the other thing to remember is that those lessons are always going to be there. Like Saturn is our biggest teacher. So wherever we have Saturn in our birth chart, it's like you're going to be learning hard, quote unquote, lessons or challenging lessons through your life in that area of your chart throughout your entire lifespan. But during your Saturn return, it's like, we really need you to pay attention to this so that you can start to like clear this karma and reap rewards and move forward into the next section of your life. So, do you know what your Saturn is in? I just said it.
I know it's an Aquarius, but I don't know what house it's in.
Okay. So Jeanette's, yes, I'm looking right now. So Jeanette has her Saturn in Aquarius. It's at 1 degrees and it's in the 6th house. So what does that mean? So it's very, very close because it's at 1 degree. So it's like basically the start of your 6th house. 6th house has a lot to do with the service that we're here to provide in the world. Also health, mind, body, soul. And kind of this like energy of what we do on a day-to-day basis, whether that be the work that we do, like money we make, but also how we take care of ourselves and our routines. So this is really interesting because this Saturn has already moved past your Saturn. So it's already been exact, but you still have another 2 years of working through this energy. So I guess knowing that, let's go back a bit and I'll pop in with some astrology things here and there as we talk, but I want to go back to like when you were 27. So right now you're how old?
29. I'll be 30 in November.
Yeah. So let's go back to when you were 27. I talk about this a lot, that being like the progressed moon phase, which is kind of the lead up to the setup for your Saturn return. And what happens is your progressed moon meets the same moon sign that you have. So your progressed moon would be in Aquarius at the same time. So around the age of 27 to 28, this is a transit that's happening. So what was happening in your life that you could think of around that age?
Yeah, so if we go kind of like, I would say right before my 28th birthday, so like that fall-ish, that was probably like when I started doing therapy. That's when I like October-ish, I think, I started getting into therapy. It also was in a relationship that was not great. And I knew that it wasn't great and I wasn't happy. And I had gained like 25 pounds in a year in that relationship. So like physical health wasn't great. Mental health obviously wasn't great. And then relationship situation was not great. I remember I had went and saw a medium, psychic, and she was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, you know what to do. Like, come on. Just like giving me the tough love that like, you know, just basically bitch slapping me around. And I was like, I know, but you know, I wasn't ready for it. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I started therapy that fall as well. And that was kind of my first experience. Well, no, that's a lie. That was my second experience. I had been to a therapy counselor situation once in high school, one time. Absolutely hated it. It was like, this ain't for me. Like, no. And then my 28th birthday, which was in November, I actually went and visited you. And I remember that was one of the first times I admitted like openly how unhappy I was in my relationship and how I wanted out, and like it just wasn't it. And I remember getting back from that trip and just knowing, and I was like, nah, this isn't gonna work. And that's also when I started my decision to start, you know, improving that physical health, losing that weight, and I started doing keto as well. And I was like intense on the keto from that day forward, and ended up losing all the weight I had gained. But yeah, that was the start of that.
Yeah, that's like such a combination of all like the sixth house stuff. So it's sort of like kind of sounds like, at least putting all the pieces together, that you know you were already feeling that lead up towards Saturn. And that's something that's so impactful, is it's like Saturn, like it prepares you because it's going to get to a peak point, which is our exact point of where Saturn hits. And that would be when it's at 1 degree for you. And that was in December of 2020. So you can see how all of that started to kind of lead up to almost like cleanse out, quite literally, everything that was going on. But this was happening in your 5th house. So Saturn during that time was actually transiting through your 5th house, which has to do with like love, self-love, expression, like joy, passions, like these like romance. So it's so like reflective to that. Yeah, it's so wild.
Yeah.
I remember when you came here and you're like, that was like the talk. Like it was like we talked about that the whole time.
Yeah, I was just like, I can't do this. And there had been like discussion of moving there, and it was just like, absolutely not. I can't. Like, no, there's no way. And yeah, so then that eventually led into 2020, I guess January 2020. You remember that month well. That was when the volcano exploded for me, and it was just like bam, 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 like Jesus Christ, like get me out of this. Like
this is when you're 28.
Yeah, so it's November, it's my 20th birthday, and then January 2020 is when shit hit the fan, so to speak.
Yeah. So people pin this note this, that 28 is like, from my research that I've been doing at least, is like the point of like you just said, like volcanic, like what is happening? Like everything's changing. So this is where it gets really juicy. So Jeanette.
Yeah. So yeah, January hits, and I think it was like what, for second week of January, a relationship ended, and that was a whole just I don't even know if I want to get into details on that, but yeah, that was a crazy time. Basically, I moved out, and I was done, and there was no moving back, and I needed to find a new place to live. I had something come up with work, so I actually had to go back home to Ontario for a while there, and then when I came back, it was like find a home, regroup, get it together, like start over. So did all of that. Then kind of went through like a bit of a rebound situation with someone that was all equally as disastrous, that matched my, current life events. So that was
during this time, are you still in therapy?
Yeah. So I had started it in October, and I would go once a month. And then, yeah, basically, when I was in therapy, a lot of the themes that were coming up was like, what are you doing? Like, you're unhappy in this relationship. You don't want to be in this relationship. Why are you not leaving? Like, and I was in a place where I just felt like was so codependent, and my like codependencies were just like, it was easier for me to just stay in something and not say anything than for me to like vocalize how I actually felt. And I could tell everyone else in the world on how unhappy I was and how much I was not in love with the person I was in love with, except tell that person that I just couldn't do it. Like, I was just so codependent. It was like the last thing I wanted to do was like upset someone. So I just put my needs on a little shelf and just cater to someone else's. So it's like, that was just a recurring theme that kept coming up. And then for me, I was waiting for someone else to leave the relationship, because it would have been easier for me, for them to walk away than for me to walk away from that. Which
was that a recurring pattern in your life as well?
100%. Like, like how many times I've been with someone that I didn't want to be with, but I just couldn't, like, I couldn't be the one to end it. I would wait for them to end it, or I'd wait for them to fuck up enough. Then I had an excuse or reason to leave. And it's like, you don't need the excuse. You don't need the reason. If you feel unhappy, that's enough, right? So, yeah.
That's really big. I feel like so many people can probably relate to that. And like, it's interesting because you're talking about these like internal lessons that obviously you were working through during that time, which is it changes. Like, as you were doing the internal work, your external world started to change. So,
yeah.
But then did you get any tests? Like, was anything else happening to kind of
constantly tested? Like, I learned, like, if you don't like do the work, make the changes, the patterns are gonna continue to repeat themselves, and you're gonna continue to be presented with people in your life that are repeating those patterns. And that's exactly what I did. I ended a relationship, met someone else, and it was like the exact same pattern, slightly different, but just as toxic, just as like bad as the last one was, if not worse. So it was just like, following into that again.
Yeah. What were the like traits or like reoccurring things? Like, did you know right away, or like,
Yeah, that's the thing. I always knew right away. I've always known right away. Like, if a red flag is slapping me in the face, I'm like, yeah, green light, let's go. That's it. Like, sprang on the red flags. Like I literally was like, I don't even want to say it was subconscious because I was very conscious of it, but it was like I wanted that because I knew this is never going to work out, but I'm comfortable with that. Rather go into something that I know is going to end than go into something that the unknown of how it would go. So
Yeah, it's so funny. You're such a Scorpio that like it clearly has like such a good navigating system, but was not using it because you're like, it's just easier to almost like feed my wounds, I guess, versus like do the uncomfortable thing and change it.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened? Can you like tell us anything about that time and what happened from there?
So then it dealt with like a lot of basically just not really willing to work on things. Like I was very avoidant of what was going on, the people I was attracting into my life, the people I was allowing in my life. And it just wasn't really in a place where I was like, I'm gonna, really figure out what's going on here. Why do I keep having these patterns in relationships? I just was like, nah, whatever, avoid. And then in March, the panini hit and I was trapped in my 600 square foot apartment alone, nowhere to go. I've been working from home for a year and a half now, like no escape with travel, social life, nothing. And it was like, you're trapped here and now you better work through it. And you can't avoid it anymore. And that's what I did. And, I did try and spend like the first little while of just like, I'm just going to like sew and I'm going to like, do things to occupy my time and just keep avoiding it. And it's just like got to the point where I couldn't anymore. So, I really started diving into what I was learning, going to therapy. Like I was doing a lot of reading, like a million podcasts I probably listened to, meditations, journaling, like everything, and was just like, all right, this is the time. I'm forced to confront all these issues and traumas I've just kept under the rug for so long. And I did.
Yeah, it's so like that goddamn pandemic.
Yeah.
Literally just like so interesting. Someone said this once, like, well, if you can't go out, go in. And I was like, that is like such a good statement for the world. And I think on some level, like all of us have just been so busy that, we just avoid, we keep going, we push through. And then like to literally, to have a Saturn return and a pandemic, like people, this is not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's a little 2-for-1 action.
So anyone who has their Saturn in Aquarius, instantly I'm already like, you're doing amazing because you have your Saturn return during a pandemic. Anyway, so yeah, so would you say like the main theme of like what you've been learning had a lot to do with what, like relationships, self-love, like what do you
biggest theme would be relationships and codependency. Like I had no idea what that word even meant. Like I remember we were talking and I was like, yeah, pretty codependent. They're like, you're not codependent, you're the most independent person I know. And I'm like, that's not what it means, bitch. Like, and we got into like such a heated argument about it. And I was like trying to explain it to you. You're like, no, don't call me codependent. And I'm like, we both are. And we finally
like, you're codependent. I think this was like a month ago. I was like, so I think I'm codependent.
I was like, oh, well, let's learn the meaning of the word. Okay. Yeah.
What does it mean? What do you explain it in your terms? What have you learned about codependency?
So I would explain it, and like I said, a lot of people think it falls on the scale of being independent. Independency and codependency are no. it actually falls on the scale of narcissism. So a very narcissistic person, that's a little bit easier for people to understand. That word is, you know, a narcissist. It's all about them. It's my world, you're living in it, you know. Whereas a codependent person, you're putting other people's needs and other people's wants ahead of your own. So a codependent person in a relationship with a narcissist, it's like, you know, the codependent is filling the cup of the narcissist like all the time, and like this cup's empty and this one's not getting anything put into it, right? So I would say it goes along with people pleasing, being scared to really say how you feel. It's you don't want to hurt anyone. Like you're protecting someone because you're like, well, if I tell them how I feel, that's going to hurt them, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to upset them. So learning about that and then recognizing it in your own life it's hard to do, because at first you're like, oh, I am that way. Like, oh, okay. Well, how can I work on it? How can I change it? And it's like not something that happens overnight. Like the first step is recognizing it when you feel it in your day-to-day life and being like, okay, I got to check myself here. Where can I change my way of thinking, right? Like I would say you're like a recovering codependent person. Like it still flares up. Like I still get a codependency flare up. Like it happens.
Like, codependency flare up. I'm so into that. So like, what would you say then? How is that? If you still get these flare ups, like obviously the way that the universe works, right? It's like, okay, we're going to hand you these lessons and you're going to work through them. So that's why we get flare ups, because we're being tested to see how much, not tested, but we're almost like tracking how much we've, you know, our progress and how much we've healed or what we still need to work on. And that's life. That's Earth School. So like, where does this still show up for you in your life?
Definitely in relationships to this day, it still shows up. Like, even though I'm aware of it now and I work on it, it still presents itself in a lot of ways. Like when it comes to relationships with family, like, you know, don't want to upset one of my parents, or like, oh, I don't want to like step on people's toes, or even like with dating now, it's like, oh, we don't want to do anything to upset that person. And then it's like, oh, wait, like, I need this from you, and how are you going to know unless I express it to you, right? So it's like knowing that it's okay, and also feeling safe to do it with certain people. That's the big thing.
Oh my God, the feeling safe. That's like such a good, that's like mind blown. Yeah, I feel like all that is so good, and probably so many people can relate to that. So I'm really grateful that you shared that. Okay, so this is like pandemic. That's where we were. You're learning all this stuff. How was your like health at this time?
So like, okay, we'll get into the more. Okay, that's like March, April, May, you know, I'm locked inside, working on my shit, you know, ready for June to roll around so I can be like, you know, out and about. So June comes around, I live in Alberta, so we kind of opened up, and I went and I started doing yoga again, and I actually started doing spin, which I'd never done before, and I loved it. Like, it was just like the only type of fitness I found that I actually enjoy and I want to go to every day, because it's just like a party on a bike. Like, you just lights going, rave music, having a good time. Oh, I'm working out, didn't even know. Like, it's just like, I loved it.
You're here for the vibes.
Yeah. And then pair that with the yoga, which I usually like to do anyways. It was like I got flexible for it, so that was awesome. Like, summer was good. I was feeling good, out and about, living life again. August rolls around, I break my foot, so no more spin, no more yoga, I'm locked back inside my fucking 600 square foot apartment again, trapped again. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I was in such a good place. I was feeling so good. And it was just like, bam, no, get back in that apartment.
Yeah.
So
do you think that was like symbolic to like needing to learn more, or what?
Yeah, I think that there's so more things I needed to work on, because I just wasn't, I was dating and like getting out there and meeting people, and it just don't think I fully was really ready to be out doing what I like, I needed to kind of like get back in, you're not ready to be quite dating relations, like it just wasn't it. So that kind of like
you were still like cracking from the nest, like you were like still learning why. It's like
baby bird, little baby bird. And then it was like, bam, crow comes in, bites my head off. Like,
oh no.
Like, get back in there. So then, like whatever, open up again, back in lockdown over the winter. We open again, back in lockdown again. Yeah, you know how it is. And then I'd say like the start of this year, I kind of felt like I was ready to be more like open and vulnerable and in a better place to be with someone, and like kind of like actually express what I want, actually knew what I wanted, because I had not known. Like I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and then I was like, start of this year, it's like, no, I know what I want. This is what, these are the qualities I want with a person. These are like things that are just, I was confident with that I wasn't confident before. And so I kind of known, and I had been seeing someone, and it was like, I had that reassurance and confidence in it. So it was like feeling good with that, and actually expressed how I felt and what I needed, and just felt like I had nothing to lose. And I was like, if it's not reciprocated, it's fine. But that was the first time I felt like the confidence and comfortability to actually admit that to someone. And it was reciprocated, and that was great. And then, things were going good, and April rolls around, and tested positive for the old COVID. So
she got the vid.
Got the UK variant. So keeping it close to home, the ancestors,
we can laugh now, but like, if anyone out there is obviously affected, we send our compassion and empathy, but continue.
Like also like, I guess I do make light of it for like now, that like there's been a couple deaths, so like RIP,
And you also like with that, like you had to go back, you went back into your house again, obviously in lockdown.
Back in lockdown again. And like I was very sick I was sick, and I did have, I lost my taste and smell for 10 days. I was, no one, like everyone talks about it, but no one really like talks about the mental strain and how hard it is mentally. And you literally feel like a stain on the world. Like, oh no, like I got the fucking scarlet letter on me. I had the vid. I'm positive. Like, I literally told like you, maybe a couple other people and my parents, and I was like, you do not tell a fucking soul about this. Like, I hear that this has gone back to anyone in the family or spreading around our hometown, I am gonna cut your throat. Like, I was like, I'm not dealing with it. Like,
the Scorpio will come out, and you will like, feel my wrath.
Watch the fuck out. Like, and I just didn't want to deal with people. Well, Jeanette's always out and about, and like, well, no wonder she got it. And I was like, yeah, okay, I do go out. I'm a social person. I live in a province where our rules are pretty lenient, so like, wasn't doing anything crazy. I met a friend outside. got the vid, that was it. Like, okay, so it was just, yeah, it was tough because then I had also put someone else in jeopardy of having it. And they luckily tested negative, so it didn't give it to anyone, but it was dealing with the stress of that, dealing with the stress of my family being scared, and dealing with my mom being a bit hysterical. And
We love you,
it
Anne,
was,
if you're listening.
love you, Mom. But I couldn't deal with her being upset, and it was like, yeah, then my codependencies again just like triggered, and I was just like, I can't handle this. Like, I've upset too many people, I've worried too many people, pissed someone off, I'm pissed off. Like, it was a lot, and then it was just like dealing with all that plus being sick, not being able to get out of bed for 5 days. It was like tough. Like, it was tough.
On like a spiritual lens, as you're like saying all this to me, it's so interesting because obviously the way I view a lot of things is from like a very spiritual perspective, and a virus inside a computer system clears it out.
Yeah.
See the sirens, look at that.
Yeah.
It clears it out. It needs to get out whatever it is. And the fact that you lost your taste and smell, like, for people who are listening to this, I'm sure maybe you are kind of on a similar vibe as like me, and I don't know, maybe you're open. I hope you're open-minded to this stuff, but the throat and throat chakra and nose, like all of this has to do with like speaking your truth and communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know, had to keep dealing with all of these things that were essentially asking you to like speak up and like talk and clear out what needed to come out. And I don't know, like you said, like you still have the flare ups. And of course, when like things like that happen, that's gonna occur your whole life. But yeah, just something to think about there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the losing the smell was a little dangerous because my patio barbecue was on for 5 days and could have burnt the building down and would have had no clue. So
yeah, that's really scary.
Just a warning, people out there.
Yeah,
you got the vid, check the propane is off. Okay.
I also had a friend. She's like, she said she had it and she lost her smell as well. And she didn't get it back for a couple weeks. And she's like, I didn't even know my garbage smelled bad.
Yeah.
Someone came over and was like, what is that smell?
Like, is it me or the garbage? I don't know.
Oh God. Anyway, no, you know, it's great that we're looking at this. And I think this is like another reason why I love talking about this stuff, because every lesson in life that we go through, or, you know, whatever it is that the universe is mirroring back to us, whether that be through our body, whether that be through like our health, our relationships, whatever, it's all for some purpose. And I know that some people don't always agree with that statement, but I believe that to be true, that there's a reason for this to be happening. So I guess that kind of leads us into now. So that was recent for all that happened. That was April.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now you're at this place of like, Saturn has actually hasn't left the building, but it's off of your own Saturn. So now what's happening is it's still moving through the 6th house, which is like asking you to take care of yourself, essentially.
Yeah.
So, speak your truth, like say what you need, like all the things to take care of you. But now it's going retrograde. So it's actually like, as a time we're filming this, it's still in this house for you. It's going to be there for the next 2 years, but it's retrograde. So anytime there's a retrograde coming in, it's kind of saying like, what are the lessons that you've learned? And like, how do you now implement them into your life?
Yeah.
So where are you at now? Like, what is like, are you like, do you feel like you're in the clear? Like, how do you feel about this?
I'll admit the last like couple months have been pretty chill. Like, it's been pretty good. Obviously I'm a skeptic, so I'm always like waiting for it to like strike back. Like, what's like, no, come around the corner.
Yeah.
But things have been like pretty good. Like, no traumatic events occurring, and I feel like I've been able to take all the things I've learned and kind of apply them in kind of the situationship I'm in now, and that's progressing into a positive place. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like taking all that shit you went through, learning, and then like, okay, how can I apply this now into a positive place, in a place to be where I want to be. So
I love that. That's so good.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing the retrograde work now, which is really
Yeah.
um
hmm
what are your thoughts on the Saturn return? Like I feel like you never really knew much about it until I started.
Yeah. Like, when does it end? Like, when?
Get me out of this. It's like
Yeah. Like, how
um
much longer?
so Saturn in Aquarius will end in the exact date I can't remember for sure, but anytime we have a Saturn return transit, it's like 2.5 years. But there'll be a moment where it'll dip out and go into Pisces. And so the people who have Saturn in Pisces are gonna get like a preview of what theirs will be like, and then we'll get like, okay, like a little bit of a break, and then it will come back into it. So it just went in at the end of 2020. So what is it, 2023, 2024 ish? Yeah, I need to double check the exact dates, but yeah. So I mean, for the most part, like people who come out of their Saturn return, it's like, by the time you're 31, 30-ish, you've done a big portion of it, which is really, really cool.
Okay.
But yeah.
Another year or so to go.
Yeah. Another little bit of time.
Yeah.
What about like what would you say to people who are like going through it right now?
I mean, if you're going through, I guess, similar challenges when it comes to like relationships, you know, it, I, I know it's not like everyone's cup of tea, but if you have access to some type of like therapy, counseling, I do think that like our generation has done a really good job at like getting rid of the stigma of that, and like everyone's so open about it now. Like, I literally have so many friends that talk about therapy. It's like I have referred my therapist out to people. Like, it's just kind of a very common thing. And if it's kind of like, if you don't do that, you're kind of judged for it. Like, oh, what do you mean you haven't worked on your stuff? Like, what? Like, I don't need that trauma. I got my own trauma to deal with. I don't need your baggage. Like, it's like, work on your shit. Work on your shit. So, I mean, I guess like that'd be my advice is,
To work on your
if you
shit.
can't, yeah, work on your shit. Okay?
Yeah.
Work on it. We don't need you just carrying over your patterns after like to every relationship, because like it's got to end somewhere. And I didn't want to be 50 years old and like going through second, third divorce situation, being like shit, like, why do I keep dating these men? Why do these relationships, like, I was like, no, let's end it now in my 20s, leave it in my 20s, I can move forward, with the tools and information I need. So yeah, if you can't do that, that's fine. There's so many books, podcasts, meditations, things that you have access to that you can learn about these things. Yeah. That would be my advice.
I love it. That's so good. I feel like there's constantly like when that's a thing. Like when you start doing this work or whatever work that you're doing, like you can't like undo it. Like that's the thing. You can't unsee what you know. So you just like you got to keep doing it. And Saturn is relentless. So it's like if that is showing up in your life, it's gonna keep showing up, like and so to say like I'm done with this pattern, I'm done, I want to break this, like where it stops here, like that's huge.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, also like unlearning learned behaviors is so hard. Like we talk about that all the time, like unlearning things that or in your subconscious that like the way you think, the way you do things, like you don't even know you're doing it. And to unlearn those things, it's so hard. It's like so hard to do.
Like when you're a kid and you literally are like taking the world in by just everything around you. And clearly our world is so much different. Or it's so different now compared to what it was in 1991.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's like you're operating from a system, literally, and Saturn is a system / structure. You're operating from a way that was shown to you during the first 7 years of your life.
Yeah.
Like what? Like upgrade.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta upgrade. You gotta like leave that shit in the past.
Yeah.
Or else you don't grow, you don't evolve, and you don't change.
Yeah. So you're like, I love this so much because whenever like in the next year, we'll be able to listen to this and like see what has happened and what's transpired, I guess, in your life, but you're in the middle of it now. I totally wish though that like people. So like Jeanette is like very clearly the relationship stuff is like big, but I mean, I don't share that much about this because I'm relationships what in my life? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because like when Jeanette says she like put herself out there, like you put yourself out there, like you went for it.
Yeah. Like if anyone has like, I guess, dating questions, advice, like,
Yeah.
you know, I got the worst Tinder stories you could ever imagine. Like, I honestly could write a book with my dating life experience. You know, I'm not gonna expose anyone on here, but like, you know who you are. You know,
I have one specific image of a person who I never met, but feel like through your story, I just grasped who they are. And yeah, I think it's so funny. I feel like what I would love to do with this podcast is actually like have people come back on. So like Jeanette. And if people have questions or whatever, like maybe you're going through relationship stuff and like, look, my relationship advice compared to Jeanette's relationship advice.
Very different.
Very
different. Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that because I think it would just be so fun to like, you know, people are going through stuff right now. Obviously, if you're 28, 27, even I get messages from people all the time and they're like, what is happening? I'm like, yeah, welcome. Like, yo, all you people with Saturn and Pisces right now, gear up. Gear up. It's time to gear up.
Saddle up.
Like, you know, you're next. So it's like all of these people are coming up and it's like, okay, if you have like anything that you want to ask, I'll have people back on and we can do like little questions. But I want to hear more of these Tinder stories.
Man, that's just like a whole other podcast.
The people want to know. We'll do it.
That's a whole other book of evil.
Yeah, so
like
good.
There's some shit for sure.
Yeah,
but nothing recent. So
yeah, no, you've so actually, can you just like give us a little before we end this off? Do you want to like just kind of tell us where you're at right now with your relationship journey, I guess?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty private, so I don't like to say too much, but I'll give just I'll say that I'm in a really good place right now, and I feel very happy with where I'm at. And it wasn't something that I knew from day one that it would be. You know, it's something I've worked on, and feel like I'm in a place that I need to be at right now, and I'm happy with it. So I'll say that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that things are unfolding, and there's some potential there for sure to be something. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. But
The private. We love it. We love a
yeah.
mysterious Scorpio. We love that. We love it so much. I have a question for you. If you had to pick any sign to date, which one would you date and which one would you absolutely never date?
Oh my God.
Ever or again?
Can I play like Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, let's do that. Okay. Fuck, Marry, Kill astrology signs. I would fuck a Taurus.
Oh!
Yeah, it would be hot and heavy and then just super toxic real quick. Just
real quick.
So that's that. Marry a Cancer.
Oh.
No, I like that. Emotional.
But why? What's the reasoning?
I do like the emotional vulnerability. I do appreciate that because as a Scorpio Sun, Aquarius Moon, there's some emotional unavailability happening, some detachment issues. So I'm an emotional sign, but like I need someone to kind of pull that out of me. So that's why I like.
Yeah.
And there's that a bit more stability going on.
The safety piece.
Yeah. So I need that in a relationship. And then if I could kill, wow, I don't know where to start. Like, well, we're just gonna have to come in hot and heavy with the Geminis. You know, it's just a no. Whenever I hear about Scorpio and Geminis being married, I'm like, in what fucking world does this work? How are you dealing with the twins? Like, I don't need to date two people. If I did want to date two people, I would. I don't need to date two person. Like, no. So that's a no.
You would kill
them.
I
mean, I'd kill them. I mean, I really can't. I can't stand the Aries anger. That's a no for me. So.
Is that a red flag though, or is it?
Yeah, that's a red flag. That's a
red flag astrology edition.
Red flag deal breaker astrology. Yeah, Aries red flag. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
definitely deal breaker Geminis.
Yeah,
you're out.
100%. Yeah, I know you like them, but no, it's a no for me.
I like Geminis because they're an air sign and they're like, but also because I have Gemini in my 3rd house and my Mars is there, which is like my energy. Need we say more? Okay.
The chaotic energy for you.
It's a dual personality, you know. My mom actually just said yesterday, it was Cassandra, my sister. She's like, yeah, I think you have a couple personalities. Yeah, you know.
Couple floating around out there. See?
It's the Gemini in my chart, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that.
It ain't for me. That's for goddamn sure.
Hard pass. So if you're a Taurus or a Cancer, you're good. Okay, you're great.
Yeah, you're good. I would never tell you that though. Yeah.
Okay, I love this so much. I feel like this needs to be, when I dive more into compatibility astrology, Jeanette will come back on this podcast.
Yeah, like I'll chime in for that because I know the compatible signs and the uncompatible signs, and I have lived it. So like,
you've lived it, yeah. We'll do one. Yeah, how about this? If people, just comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below if you want to see that. We'll do like another segment. If you're on the podcast listening to this, also let me know if this would be something interesting there that you'd like, because we could dive into that more.
If someone has like their sign, their whoever person dating whatever sign, and then the situation, and then we can dissect it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, this is gonna be the thing.
That'd be an idea.
Okay. If you're listening, well, I hope you're still listening to this. You need to let me know if this is what you
chimed out.
Yeah, you need to let me know. That would be super fun, because obviously I would have to be like, well, first of all, if Buddy's not giving you his birth time, like we got a problem, because we know there's more. Or whoever it is, Buddy, Budette. Is that a word?
It is now. You know, some people don't know when they were born, and some people's parents don't know that they were born.
Yeah, mom was busy. Okay, I always say
Yeah.
that.
You know, yeah.
But anyway, regardless of the situation, if you guys want me to do that, I would love to do a segment on that. I think it'd be super fun. So let me know. But we're gonna wrap it up here. And yeah, like I say on these podcast interviews with people, you know, you can go and, you know, reach them on their Instagram, but Jeanette's is private because she's living a private Scorpio life. So
Yeah. I don't have any like businesses to promote or anything like that. So
no, you're a human being living
yeah.
a life
Mhm.
offline, which is actually super rare these days, at least it is in my world. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, but you can DM me, I guess, if anyone wants some of my podcast recommendations or books I've read, any of that kind of stuff. Or
Any
you want people
relationship advice?
yeah, relationship questions, circumstances that you have found yourself in,
Situationships?
situationships. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, cool. That sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah, well, I'll obviously link everything below. And yeah, that is it for this episode of Saturn Return Diaries podcast. So do all the things. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. If you're on the audio format, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating and review. I actually just found them the other day and I was like, oh my God, there's ratings and reviews here? Like, how does this work? So definitely do that because it obviously helps me out and just kind of like helps with reach. But yeah, just come over to Saturn Return Diaries on Instagram. And let me know if you've been listening, and that would be amazing. So I will see you guys in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.